Welcome to the Midwestern Method podcast. Today's guest is Rob Lenfestey of Mandala Springs, Mandala Chocolates, Mandala Naturals, Mandala Everything. He's just a really awesome guy. We had a really fun time talking. I always enjoy talking to Rob because he's just like, he does so many things and does them really well. So today is going to be a really great podcast. Just a few things. First of all, if you are interested in checking your biomarkers with me, I'm using a product called Base, and you can take a look at the link below. It's get-base.com, and you can use discount code Jesse20 for 20% off of Base. If you want to change those markers, you have to know what they are in the first place. So what I'm doing is I'm checking my testosterone level and trying to see where that's at. Turns out my testosterone level isn't ideal, so I'm using this checker, and periodically I'm going to check my testosterone to see where it is. And over time, I'm making some changes to see what it is about my lifestyle, what it is about supplementation, breath work, etc., that can move that marker in the direction that I would like it to go. In addition to that, if you are looking for Kion products, go ahead and take a look at the link below. The Kion is a brand that I've been using lately, just actually because I really like the people. They are just really cool people, and then I started trying the products, and now I'm hooked on their coffee and on their protein bars. So that's my suggestions. I'm also taking their colostrum right now for immune health. So take a look at the link below, and you can use discount code Coomer for 15% off anything at their website. So check that out. Guys, again, thanks so much for watching. Rob Lenfestey, an awesome conversation. I hope you like it. Welcome to the Midwest. My name is Jesse, and I am indoors while our guest today is just enjoying this beautiful nature. And I got to say, I've been to this exact location where he is, and it's just an amazing, amazing place. Rob Lenfestey he's a fellow Wim Hof Method he's a instructor, he's a breath worker, Acro Yogi. He's a chocolatier. He makes craft chocolate. He's a wilderness survival expert. He knows, I've seen him eat things off of, I'm like, okay, I don't know. And then it seems like it's delicious. And, so Rob is really an interesting guy, not to mention if you're part of my Patreon group, you've been enjoying a lot of his music because he's also a very talented musician. And he's been slipping me some tracks over the past few months. And I'm actually going to have to hit him up for some more soon. But Rob, thank you so much for being with me today. Oh, also, did I mention Rob is also a fellow YouTuber. So check out his YouTube channel at Convergence Lifestyle on YouTube. And I will have all those links in the description box. But Rob, we were we had just a few minutes testing the interwebs and all of the stuff before we started recording. How is COVID treating you? How is that?
Society has told me that I need to stay home. And what you're looking at right now is home. So as you can see, I've been really struggling to have to be in this paradise right here.
Poor thing. I feel so bad for you. And I've been seeing a lot of awesome posts, and maybe later on we can take a look at some of the things you're doing there. I've been out there, but I want to kind of explain this for those who are watching and those who are listening. You've got I don't know, it's like a little pleasant paradise of a location called Mandala Springs, and I forget all about it, all the details. Tell us a little bit about Mandala Springs, where you reside and where.
Well,
yeah.
Well, last time you were here, Jesse, Mandala Springs was 45 acres.
Yeah, huge.
And now it is 67 acres.
Oh my God. It's
yep. And basically, it's growing. It's getting bigger. And basically, we've got some of the most biodiverse land in the entire subtropical world. In fact, the most biodiverse place in the entire subtropical world. We're surrounded by Pisgah National Forest on 3 sides. We have over 30 springs that are a gallon a minute or more, including some that even the greater community is using for their water supply right now.
Wow.
And we've got this gorgeous stream running 24/7, beautiful trout-filled stream here. We got boulders and cliffs, got a growing community, gardens, and we're building infrastructure for a human empowerment and ecologically sustainable retreat center right here. And we've already got Mandala Chocolate, our chocolate craftery, on site making the chocolate with the event space that me and Jesse inaugurated.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Back in
earlier this year.
Yeah,
exactly. So this is a burgeoning project, and I'm super excited about where it's going right now.
So as far as like, just so people know this, if in the future, and when I should say, when we have our next workshop, when we do events out there, you know, the water that you see behind Rob, for instance, if you come to a Wim Hof Method workshop, you might just actually get into that exact place. It's just some gorgeous areas out there. Now, one of the things that blew my mind whenever I was in everybody watching and listening, you can go to my YouTube channel and find, we did a couple of videos about Rob's chocolate factory, but I just want to say that I know that the ingredients in the chocolate come from, there's a lot of ingredients that actually come from that area. Isn't that right?
Correct. So part of the fun of this project and part of the spirit of the chocolate company is, you know, being in one of the most medicinally and nutritionally abundant food places on the planet. I went through the process to get a number of wild mushrooms and plants certified organic, and this land is certified organic. And then I created the first ever certified organic wild harvesting program on public lands, setting the precedent so anyone can do it in the country, so that we could harvest more of these herbs and mushrooms that we are using in our chocolate. And everything that we use are the fruiting bodies and the aerial parts of perennial organisms. So we don't actually have to, especially for like the national forest, we don't actually have to kill anything in our harvesting practices. If anything, we're only encouraging those populations to increase. So, you know, it's creating a business and a product that is endeavoring to be as holistically impeccable and to cover as many bases as we possibly can. And that's just one of the really beautiful things that we get to do with it.
Yeah. So as far as some of these, what are some of the herbs and all these different things you harvest from the area? What are some examples?
So one of the ones that's really exciting this time of year are spice berries. So up where you live, you've got tons of spice berries. It's a common plant up there in the forest. Lindera benzoin. Look it up. It's actually a member of the avocado family, and it has these little red berries that are super fatty, rich in healthy fats, and kind of taste like allspice, but better. And then we also harvest a plant called pedicularis that grows in the spring. And then reishi mushrooms, a specific species that's endemic to our local hemlock trees. And then chaga, the first certified organic source of chaga in the United States. So we're harvesting that at elevations above 4,500 feet here.
So yeah, so where does chaga normally, isn't that, I'm trying to think of where that normally would be harvested.
All over the Northeast and all over like Siberia, in that area is where you mostly find chaga. Yeah.
And so these are things that you can find in your chocolate. So they're not only, you know, a little snack, but also you can do something good for your health. Now, I was actually munching on a lot. After this, I'm going to have to do all kinds of ordering. I need more music. I need more. So there's a little subtle reason maybe for this interview, but yeah, I was really enjoying Cloud Forest. That was my favorite blend from your chocolate factory. Now, what are the ones that are in that? As I recall, there's a lot of adaptogens, isn't that right?
Correct. So the chaga and reishi both are present in the Cloud Forest. And then the other side of the chocolate company is we're working with all of these farmers and indigenous communities that are doing the best, like having the most fun and using the best practices to grow or harvest foods in their areas. In Africa, we're working with tribes that harvest from the big ancient wild baobab trees. Those are the giant upside down trees. The fruit actually makes its own powder. And that is one of the primary flavors in the Cloud Forest bar. Then we use carob and lucuma. And the combination of those three really creates the unique flavor that Cloud Forest has that kind of fruity, malty lusciousness to it that I personally just love Cloud Forest. I mean, duh. And it's, of course I love it.
Who's of yours, so I would assume that so you've got Cloud Forest with a lot of those in there. And I know you've got some stuff with like natural cane sugar.
No, just coconut sugar actually. Okay. So actually a better, much lower glycemic sugar than cane sugar.
That's right. And then there was one that had honey as a sweetener, as I recall.
Yep. So my Peppermint Honey Bar, which is super simple. It's literally peppermint, honey, and cacao. That's it.
And it's really good. Actually, after I came home, so one of the things I do whenever I travel, and I like to bring things home for my family, and then I try to impress my father-in-law sometimes. He's a big chocolate fan. So I was like, okay, I've got a really good one here. And so I gave him that particular one because that one was my all-time, like as far as flavor goes, I was like, oh, wow, he's going to love this. So yeah, it really gave me some good points with the father-in-law. So thanks for that.
Nice. Well done.
So you've got a lot of those things working at the craftery right now, and the craftery is still going full speed, and things are looking good over there for chocolate, eh?
Yeah, better than ever, honestly. For a lot of people, COVID was, like catalyzed a lot of stress and a lot of situations that have really been hard on people's lives.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for the fact that in my particular set of circumstances, it really helped drive my online sales, build my online business more. I got to really step back from some of the things that I needed to do previously, like demoing and being present in these stores, to really focus on the cultivation of the land and really focus on the cultivation of the products. And so the craftery is gorgeous. We've got an art gallery going in the upstairs of the craftery right now.
Really?
The movement space is better than ever. It just feels so good in there. And I'm really looking forward to you getting to see all of the evolution since the last time you were here.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, we were planning on we were definitely about to we're probably going to do a summer session. We were going to do fall, COVID really did. It changed the way we have to think about reaching out to everybody, and it was once very easy to, and I think it will be again, but it was really easy. We all get together, we breathe, we had a cacao ceremony that was really awesome, hiking and all these things out there at Mandala Springs. And so we're trying to rethink how we're going to do that. Because we as people, we need each other, we do need to be around each other. And so I've seen, it looks like the pretty cool tribe that you've cultivated out there with your garden, and looks like you guys are having a lot of fun. And I got to say, the interesting thing about this location of Mandala Springs is that it really is out in the middle of nowhere, but at the same time, it's not insanely far away from, what was the town? Is it Charlotte or?
Asheville.
Asheville. Okay. Asheville. Yeah. So it's not so insanely far away that you can't get some, get to town and do something.
Oh, we're 25 minutes from Asheville right now.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a cool combination between, I mean, the remoteness that you guys can see in this video and being able to get to an airport or, all those other things that we love to do. So what's going on right now at Mandala Springs?
So another thing that COVID did is I know a lot of people were out of work and, in stressful situations where they didn't know that, how to relate with the people in their area. So I created what I called basically a quarantine community where I offered campsites to people for work trade. And that has burgeoned now. We have 12 people living here. And we've got a full event staff. So we're doing retreats and workshops because we have 67 acres. We're keeping the groups small, but we're able to safely host like groups of 30 people or so, which is around the legal limit in North Carolina right now. Yeah. And we're able to start having those events where people are able to connect. Big campfire where we can have lots of music and keep everyone at safe distances, and really just being able to provide that connection. Another thing that I do every year for the last 12, 13 years is I've been a part of the creation and execution of yoga festivals around the country.
Awesome.
And I honed it back to the ones that are regionally relevant, but this year, none of the yoga festivals happened. So once again, blessing in disguise, what it's done is it's forced us to hone in on Mandala Springs and the offerings that we can have here, preparing for when everything opens back up, like the really big events that we'll be able to host here, hopefully sooner than later, but also figuring out, well, what can we do now in the current cultural context that'll keep everyone safe and simultaneously give people that missing piece that you just described so eloquently, that we need each other. We need interpersonal connection. And Mandala Springs seems to be a really beautiful opportunity to bring people together in a really beautiful natural environment and in ways that, make sense in our current, current cultural situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I know whenever we were out there last time, I forget exactly. I think we had maybe 20 people.
Yeah.
Made like our fundamentals workshop. And then I think we had about 20 both days because we did an advanced Wim Hof Method workshop out there and just had some great people. That's the thing about, especially a place like Mandala Springs or these kind of workshops or these kind of gatherings, whether it's a yoga gathering or, a music festival and things like that. It really is an eclectic group of people. And you get to know people from different places and you get to make new friends. And I mean, I'll never forget, I think was it Alan was out there, banging away on the drum. And so, that was a person that was just, he for a long time, he commented on a lot of my YouTube videos. And then, hey, we got to meet the guy in person. I know he stayed out there quite a while after our workshop.
For months.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's awesome that you've got that and that those places like that exist. I think sometimes we forget that there are little pockets like that. And this is like it's this little pocket of like natural beauty that we don't even notice if we don't know where it is, so as far as that goes, you've got those things going on. You're still practicing acro yoga, I'm sure, hanging off of trees and doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh, of course.
I mean,
can't not be.
This is how hanging out with Rob is. Okay, so whenever you are a friend of Rob, you're just constantly seeing feats of natural wonders and just crazy things. And it's just at first, when I first met Rob, it was kind of like, whoa, hey, it was kind of weird at first. You know, you're not used to people standing on their heads and hanging. I remember when I first met you in 2016, we were at the advanced module in Los Angeles, and there was this tree, and we were all listening. I think Wim Hof was saying something, or I forget. And I was kind of backing up, and I noticed that there was a face next to my face. I turned around and he was upside down. And he was hanging upside down from a tree, and he's like, yeah, it's good for you to hang upside down. And so I was like, okay, all right, there we go. And then out in Colorado, he brought the hang lines?
Slack line.
Slack line. And then that was just a whole trip in itself. So then whenever you know I go out and see at Mandala Springs, I mean there's like slackline hooks everywhere, and in the chocolate factory itself, there's like a rappelling, you can climb.
Oh, a 25-foot climbing wall with a full ceiling and stalactites and.
Why not? Because why not? Because it's Rob. That's the kind of guy that Rob Lenfestey is. Because it wouldn't occur to most people. You know what we need to put in the chocolate factory?
It's a climbing wall, obviously.
That's obviously what we need to put in there. But that's what you're going to find in Mandala Springs chocolate factory. So, but yeah. So you've got a YouTube channel, and I've been seeing some awesome stuff on there. What kind of stuff do you talk about on your channel?
Well, I call it Convergence Lifestyle. And the whole idea is like, you know, a lot of the lifestyle elements that you see and that you're talking about, you know, what I'm doing is codifying a lifestyle strategy that gets people to really start practicing a multifaceted milieu of what human potential means and what we're capable of. And that, you know, it combines exercising, you know, our ability to creatively move through the world, reconnecting to the natural environment, reconnecting to the way that we naturally move through the environment, connecting to the ways that we can learn how to learn well so that we can maintain that kind of sponge-like ability to learn new things that is usually associated with children. There's a whole precedent for us to only get better at that as we age, rather than what people are traditionally used to, which is, you know, you get more and more streamlined into specific foci, and it becomes harder and harder to branch out from that. But that's more of a social conditioning than actually a physiological necessity. And so my goal with Convergence Lifestyle is to share the tools that have worked for me, so that, you know, either those tools will resonate with someone, or at the very least, they'll plant a seed of possibility that will help people to experience and engage more of that potential in their lives. And truthfully, what has really taken off is I've been doing the breathwork videos, and I've been having a really fun, creative time with that, playing music, using nature to make some of my instruments for the music, filming that, and then filming the instruction and mashing that all together into the videos and just having fun with it. And it seems like people are responding really well to it. And I'm having fun sharing it. And I'm just really grateful for the feedback that I've received. I've got people all over the world waking up every day and doing breathwork with me. Yeah. That's the world we live in right now. And I 1000% have to thank Jesse Coomer, because this man right here was the one who said, all right, it's time. It's time for you to make your YouTube channel. It's time for you to start doing the thing. And he was absolutely right. And he instigated it, and I did it. And I could not be happier with the results. It's one of my favorite mediums I get to share in. So major thanks to you, my friend, for really helping spearhead that.
Well, I got to say, there's some people that I really feel should have some kind of an outlet like YouTube. I think YouTube is just a fantastic outlet. So it's been something I've had a lot of fun with. And, you know, the better I've gotten to know you over the time I've known you, I'm like, yeah, this guy is so, there's so, like, you know, with me, of course, I just released my book about breath work. I'm really into fitness, breath work, cold exposure, nutrition, health and fitness. You know, there's a lot of things that I talk about on my channel, but you know, I don't know how to juggle, and I don't know how to stand on my head or climb a cliff. There's a video that one of your first videos, and the thing is, you've got a lot of skills that really lend themselves to filmmaking, right? And to video making. So, like, not to mention a really nice camera, which I've got to get something better for my there's a lot of things I'm going to learn from you here, you know? And so, but there was this one video, I think, was it where you climbed you were doing some rock climbing, or it was like one of your first few videos.
It was the second video I ever released. So the goal was to introduce people to quadrupedal movement.
Yeah.
So four limb movement. And I went to one of my favorite places where I, as a young adult, really started to explore these things, where I started to crawl on all fours and started to practice something that people think is kind of crazy, but I think is really just important, at least in my life, which is crawling on all fours down cliff faces. And, you know, I built it very gently over time. And I got to showcase in that one of my favorite little routes that I had been doing for years. But then I also showed people rock climbing, because rock climbing is another form of quadrupedal movement, four-limb movement. So showing how the same principles are applicable. And if you don't have cliffs, there's ways that you can practice different kinds of creative four-limb movement utilizing trees. And roots, and being able to place your feet up on a tree. And so I showed just different practical ways to develop that skill. But I mean, as far as, like, you know, strengthening the full range of potential that we have in our arms to function more like our legs, and simultaneously to get our legs to function more like our arms, and to develop the center of balance that four-limb movement governs, and being able to get that to become a normalized part of our movement patterns. So in any given practical situation where I'm climbing in a mountain terrain, I'm on a hike, I can switch to four-limb movement when that becomes more efficient and more effective, and actually safer in a lot of situations. When I'm crawling up streams, crawling up or down certain cliff faces, that head first four-limb movement, even though it looks crazy to most people, is actually oftentimes safer and more stable than the traditional two-limb movement. So it's part of that multifaceted journey to really opening up a lot of the potential in our mind-body connection, and being able to integrate some of these natural movement patterns that were actually designed for, that have been forgotten in our current cultural reality. Now,
I love your philosophy behind the Convergence Lifestyle, and I love the philosophy that you don't have to become, because I really resonate with that, and something I have to really struggle with, because we're kind of taught that you can have a lot of diverse interests as a young person, but then as you get older, you have to leave a lot of those things behind, and you have to, you know, you kind of get into what we would consider just a real rut. But hey, that's getting older, and you know, that's what that's about, and you can just expect to have fewer you know, interests and abilities and hobbies because of responsibilities and other things like that. And I love, you know, because that's something we both agree, you know, we've both seen it in our own lives. What are some advice that you would give? Maybe, you know what, I'm turning 40 later this year. Okay, man, it's big, right? And for myself, I didn't even start to engage with my body or mind in any real capacity till I was 30. and that's actually an age where a lot of people, I remember, a lot of my classmates from high school or whatever, we'd see each other, oh man, getting older, even at 30, which is absolutely ridiculous. But let's suppose you've got a 40-year-old and maybe they've had a sedentary lifestyle. Maybe they haven't, really engaged the mind and body quite so much, but they're like, hey man, where do I start? What would you suggest? I mean, just, obviously it's going to be different for different people, but kind of in general, what are some starting points, you think?
Well, I mean, and one of the most brilliant starting points is what both of us share, which is the Wim Hof Method.
Right.
Essentially doing, and just, even if you don't do the cold exposure, if you just do the breath work starts getting the internal systems of the body starting to function the way that they're meant to. It gets the adrenal systems back online. It gets all of the detoxification of the organs back online. It starts exercising the circulatory system through that vasodilation and vasoconstriction. Yes. From the inside out. It really starts priming the body so that the body's ready to receive more information. And the biggest thing that I would recommend to anyone is even a little bit, even the smallest amount, find something every single day to step outside of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone can become the greatest prison that exists in our lives. And what happens when you don't step out of your comfort zone is slowly over time, your comfort zone shrinks. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Whereas if you are to step out of it ever so slightly, just a little bit every single day, one way or another, you can slowly grow your comfort zone. Eventually, your comfort zone can grow to encompass a zone that would have been deadly to you at a different point in your life, can actually become part of the things that you are comfortable with. But the idea is you have to look at things from an exponential curve. It's not going to be some sort of immediate result type reality. It's life by 1,000 blessings rather than death by 1,000 cuts. So do something every day to step out of your comfort zone. Maybe it looks like writing your name backwards with your left hand, or doing some breath work that you wouldn't do on a normal day, or maybe trying to do a few more push-ups than you've normally ever been able to. Whatever it is, find some sort of pattern you can practice on a daily basis that pushes you ever so slightly out of your comfort zone, and make sure that you don't go too far. Because the other thing you can do is step too far out of your comfort zone, have a traumatic reaction, which will actually shrink your comfort zone even more. So it's finding that sweet spot where you're pushing that limit in a gentle and productive way that is not simultaneously creating a traumatic response, which actually works in the opposite and further reduces your comfort zone. Because when you go back to that same activity that you had a traumatic reaction to, it requires a lot of effort to kind of undo that mental habit that a traumatic experience creates.
Yeah, I like what you say about really valuing the daily, the daily grind, as some people might call it, but just have that the small blessings, the 1,000 blessings, I think is what you just said. Because I think oftentimes what we do is we have these high expectations, and we have these preconceived notions that if I can't perform at this high level on day 1 or day 10, right, that for some reason it's not worth it and it's not doing anything for me. And this is something that I've learned, and it's exactly what you've said, is just basically, no, it's all a journey, right? And it takes time, and it takes, a constant, consistency, really. It takes consistently, kind of pushing. I love the idea of writing your name backwards with your left hand, things that are kind of outside of the box, but what they do is they challenge us in this mental way. They challenge us in this physical way. It doesn't have to be ice bathing. It can be. And obviously, if you want to get into an ice bath, come talk to me and Rob. We'll show you everything we know. But when it comes down to it, there's so many different ways that we can challenge ourselves. And I say, I don't know how to juggle, and I don't. If I were to say, hey, Rob, hold my beer, and then try to juggle, it would just be awful. But I still do. I have juggling balls, and I work on it. It's something that I have not figured it out yet. I remember for the longest time, and of course, this is something that comes back to the Wim Hof Method. Whenever we were first training to be the first ever, instructors, I just assumed that they wouldn't let us become instructors if we didn't know how to do the shelf pose or the peacock pose, right? I just assumed that was going to be part of the test. And if you couldn't do it, they would just fail you. And so of course, now I'm sure as a yogi yourself, that was not an issue. As I recall, you were doing crazier stuff than that. But for me, it seemed like it would never happen. It seemed like just absolutely impossible. But what I decided to do is just basically try every day. And I wouldn't try to the point where I was frustrated and to where I was just hating it and just sweating because I was so agitated. I would just try until, okay, I'd give it maybe 5 minutes every day until, okay, now I can hang this. I can work on this for maybe 10 minutes. Oh, maybe I can, now I'm starting to have fun with it. Okay. And it's this amazing thing that, just like you said, we can traumatize ourselves if we push ourselves too hard. So I love that. It's great advice, man. And, and that's something where, regardless of a person's age, obviously, I think we would both recommend starting young, but starting is the most important thing. So, and speaking of starting, when did you start all of this? I mean, have you lived in the mountains your whole life? And where did this all start for you?
I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. I thought the Grateful Dead was a heavy metal band. In high school, I knew nothing about so many things. I grew up in a little bubble of cultural ignorance of the wider world around me. I played football. I was 235 pounds. I weigh about 170 right now.
I can't imagine Rob at that weight. Oh my God. Was it fat? I mean,
so when some of it, I was weightlifting, so I had some muscle.
Okay.
I was a football player. Yeah. But I was overweight and I was unhealthy in a lot of ways. I was eating fast food and drinking cola and all these things that I can't even really identify with at this point in my life. But that's where I came from. So, but I was young. I was 19 when I moved to the mountains. I immediately fell in love with rock climbing. I became obsessed with it. I was surrounded by a community who was doing it. I was getting out in the mountains every day. I very quickly actually got to the weight I am now, just not because I decided I wanted to lose weight, because I was so engaged and having so much fun doing something that just felt right for my body. And so that's the other piece, is like, if you're really fighting yourself to do something, there's a billion things you can do on this planet that are healthy for you. Find the things that spark your imagination, that stimulate your desire and get you excited. I was very lucky that at a very young age, I discovered this. But let me tell you a brief story of a moment when I was in my mid-20s. I was in Oregon at a hot spring, and I had everything I owned had just been stolen. I was about as depressed and about as far removed from feeling that safety, security, and effectiveness that you have in life. And so I went to this hot spring and I stayed in this hot spring for 24 hours during a snowstorm. And very late in that experience, this man comes, and he's older, he's got fully white hair, but he's cut. He's got this super nice straight spine, one of the healthiest, just badass dude, super good human. He shows up and I get to talking to him. And he's like, guess how old I am? I'm like, you look like you're probably 61, 62. He's like, I turn 82 next month.
Oh, wow.
And he says, when I was 72, he said it's when his wife died. And at the time, he had scoliosis. He had All of his muscles were completely degenerating. He was an old man. And when his wife died, it sent him into this deep downward spiral. And at the bottom of it, he just suddenly realized it's like, well, either I die like tomorrow or I just start doing stuff to take care of myself. And he literally transformed his life. He transformed his diet. He started doing yoga. He started weightlifting. He started eating raw foods, drinking clean water, going to hot springs, like doing winter practices. And here's this man who at the age of 72 decided for the first time in his life to start taking care of himself and start implementing these things. And by the time I met him, he looked 20 years younger than his actual age. And I mean, he was timeless. And that really just hit home super hard. And I was like, okay. Because here I was, talk about like ignorance. I was 25 and feeling like I had missed some sort of boat in my life, or that I had reached this point of ineffectualness in the path and strategy that I was in. You know, just going through a little bit of an existential crisis. And here comes this man who had gone through something incomprehensible in comparison to what I had. I mean, I looked at myself and like, wow, I'm capable of all these wonderful things. Like I've got every tool I could possibly hope for. And he just completely re-established for me the vigor of the path. And so I always think about this guy. I've never seen him since. I wish I had his name. I wish I could connect to him and say thank you.
Yeah.
But I hope that story just hits home with somebody out there who thinks it's like, oh, you know, I'm old and I've gone too far down the path of degeneration to possibly regenerate, not even slightly. Every single day is a choice to make our lives just a little bit better than they were the day before. And like any sort of exponential curve, that could, you know, you can create a downward spiral or you can create an upward spiral. And you can get to a point where the habitual normative reality that you're engaged in on a daily basis is expanding your capacity to really experience the fullness of what a human life and a human experience is capable of.
That's awesome. I love that story. You know, and at age 72, I mean, yeah, this for everybody who thinks it's too late, you know, and it's those types of stories. Oftentimes it's like, well, that was, you know, he was just somebody else and that he got lucky, but it really can be anybody. And it wasn't overnight. I mean, if the guy had scoliosis and all these things, I'm sure it took time, you know, but it's just a matter of determination and willpower and making it happen. Just like you said, it's a choice. That's so good, man. So you're out there in the mountains. You've been there, you know, for years now. I know if anybody wants to hear Rob's story about how he became a chocolatier, it's on my channel. It's quite a good story about how he was kind of just thrown into this profession. But I would love to show people a little bit more of your location. Can you take us on a little tour?
Let's go on a little tour. Let's see if we keep internet connection. But let me first just give you a visual of what you're looking at right here. Here is what the Western world calls Mineral Creek, but we're about to figure out the Cherokee name for it because this is just too stunning of a stream to be given such a mundane name.
So this was Cherokee.
And this stream originates at the top of Craggy Gardens. Yeah, Cherokee country for sure.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so, yeah, this is all source water, all spring fed, as pure as it gets. And so now I'm going to scramble up the hill here to the heartland.
When I visit Rob, just as a side note, I know some of you guys are listening to the audio of this, so I apologize, but we have to show people on the YouTube channel. But when I stay with Rob, he always tells me, drink as much water as possible while you're here, because the water is so perfectly pure and full of these minerals. So anyway, I'm sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. So we're looking at, we've got a little Healing Arts soul pad, a little bell tent set up from this retreat that we just did. And we've got a yurt over here. There's my house up there.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at the Heartland. The large gray building you're looking at is the chocolate craftery. Downstairs where we make the chocolate, upstairs where we have the event space. There is a beautiful fire pit here.
Yeah.
Where we have lots of music and lots of connection. Really creates an amazing kind of synergistic space. We keep some of this pasture intact because we've got all these beautiful wildflowers that are native, and lots of butterflies and other pollinators that this little ecosystem here supports. And so you can see these gardens. So when Jesse was here last,
yeah,
this hill was actually a big mud slope that the original owner had used as a really poor road. And it was, every time we had a rainstorm, it was getting all runneled out and it was just bad. So we've now converted it into these garden beds. So these beds, there's going to be 7 terraces going down the hill. These beds are actually dug 6 feet deep and have massive oak logs buried inside of them, and something called hugelkultur. And the idea is that those logs not only decay and bring nutrients, but they actually create habitat for the entire soil microbiology ecosystem that will literally feed these soils for decades and decades, essentially creating these beds that are self-regenerating forever after a few years. And let's see, we've got, there's my tiny house down there that I built on a trailer. The tiny house I lived in before I had this land. It has, it's actually a full-on recording studio. I got 600 feet of instrument cable running through the walls. It has a central control zone and a lot of custom woodwork in there. I would love to, I'd love to take you guys down there and look at it. I'm just worried that I'm going to lose my internet connection if I go over there.
Last time I visited you, I had a broken finger. Remember, I couldn't play any guitar. And so this time I'm going to be real careful. I'm going to be very careful and make sure that I keep my digits. They're all back to normal. So I'm keeping my digits.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. How well do your YouTube constituents know? How much do they know about how good of a guitar player you are?
I have not yet. Well, thank you. I have not yet once played guitar for my viewers. And you can see, I don't know if how visible it is. It's kind of dark today.
Three guitars back there.
Yeah, so I love playing guitar. We had so much fun jamming out in Colorado when we were out there too. So I mean, we're gonna play some music. Maybe we'll make a video or two.
All right.
On YouTube.
All right, Midwestern Method fans, you need to be demanding in comments that this man plays guitar for you, because he's got a great talent and a great skill. He's got a lot of fun there. Maybe he can sit and play guitar while he's doing some storytelling with you or teaching you about something. So get on him about that.
So, dude, this is just a beautiful area you've got there, and we're looking forward to. I know we're going to be doing some videos out there when I get out there next, and we'll have to do maybe some as we call in the YouTube world, some collab videos in the future. But yeah, right now with COVID and everything, we're trying to feel, just so everybody knows, we're trying to kind of feel things out, look to see what we can put together in the near future, hopefully the near future, but who knows, we'll see what we can come up with. But this right here, as I recall, you are getting close to, where are you now? Okay.
We are in the upstairs
room. Okay.
The craftery right here. And let's see if I can.
Oh, I love it.
I'm not sure how you can see, but we have a full art gallery.
I'm getting a frozen image right now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of losing you, buddy.
Yeah, it might be. Can you hear me better here?
Yeah, when we're outside of the building, I can still see in there. Oh, that's beautiful in there, man. That really looks nice. I like what you did with it. When we did our
yeah, it's gorgeous.
our last workshop, we put in the flooring there, the cushion floor, and but it had just been built, I think, the week before. So
It had just been finished. Yep. Absolutely.
But so next time I come down, we're gonna have to do we'll do some collabs and whatnot. This rock that he's next to is enormous. It's just this. That's the thing. Out in Appalachia, man, you've got such amazing beauty out there. I'm always envious when I see your Instagram feed, especially lately. Every morning you've been posting these good morning, look at this view type video or pictures. And actually in your most recent video that I can recall, I don't know if you've done something since, we did a breathwork video where looks like you and some friends climbed to a peak in the mountains.
So this peak is actually the top of our watershed, and you can actually hike up there. The ridge line on the one side of my property actually becomes the top of that ridge line is that peak, though you can actually drive up our road. And for those who are familiar with it, the Blue Ridge Parkway, one of the most famous roads in the United States, is 4 miles up the road from me. It's 4 miles because of the switchbacks. But then, yeah, you can literally drive up to a point where it's just a 1/4 mile drive to get up to the very top of that peak. And so I've been doing that every morning, leaving at 5:30 in the morning and getting up there to watch the sunrise. And went up there this morning. It was absolutely beautiful. Every day is completely different. Sometimes you're just in the cloud. You're just in a giant fog bank. Other days you're looking at a sea of clouds underneath you. Sometimes the clouds are forming this laminar flow over the mountains that is just stunning. And it's literally this kind of cosmic toss of the dice every day of what sort of show you're going to be given. And, you know, I can't imagine a more stimulating way to begin every single day, especially just being so close to that here. And I've been convincing more and more people to either go with me or to meet me up there, including some of my favorite musicians. And we'll record music up there and do that kind of thing. It's great.
So, hey man, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. And I'm obviously, every time we talk, I get inspired to go do something creative or try to eat something out of my yard, which I'm going to need you to be there to make sure I don't poison myself for that. But I can't wait to get out there and do some workshops. We're going to do some breath work. We've got some ideas in the percolator, everybody. So I don't want to give anything away just right now, but a lot of ideas that are we've been kind of tossing around lately. So, but Rob, where can people find out, first of all, how to get some of that awesome chocolate? How to, if they want to come out and spend some time out at your location, or how can they find out more about you?
Great. So definitely YouTube, folks. Check out Convergence Lifestyle. That's where you'll find the breathwork videos and some other videos that I'm posting about the different lifestyle pieces. This is Mandala Springs, and the chocolate is Mandala Chocolate. You can find it on Amazon. You can go to our website, which is mandalanaturals.com, MANDALA Naturals. And that's a really great resource because we've got a lot of educational materials on the different superfoods we use. You can kind of get a better picture of the space and the land, get an idea of the bigger picture spirit of what we're doing here. And yeah, we'd love to see you out here. This place is to share. We're not here to hoard this. We're here to share it.
I love it. I love it. Rob is he is just an incredible guy, and I appreciate you being here, Rob, and saving a lot of fauna and just some wildlife out there, just keeping it natural and clean, and it's really inspiring, man. So I can't wait to come out there. Guys, take a look at the links underneath this video, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, take a look in the show notes, and I'll give you all those links for Rob's chocolate, for the Mandala Springs, for all those places, his Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. So thanks so much, guys, for being here. And thank you, Rob, again. And guys, have a great rest of your day. Please like and subscribe. If you've not already done so, go over to Convergence Lifestyle and like and subscribe all of his videos, like them all, and then subscribe as well. And don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another.